Did you know you could be hurting your joints without even knowing it? A big part of pain is range of motion. So if you want to know more, check out this video. This idea of function has become very prominent in the healthcare space more recently. So let's talk about why function is important and how it can be relating to your pain. We can take this idea of function and break it down to two main components: range of motion and strength. Now, strength is a little more self-explanatory, but we're going to do another video on that, so check back in for that video. But let's focus on range of motion. Range of motion is this idea of how well can a given set of tissues move through an intended, expected pattern. For example, how well can you tuck your chin? How well can your knee bend? And how well can your back round to touch your toes? These are actually all range of motion tests that we use here at Barefoot to see how well you are moving and how well you are functioning. Let's look at this as a math equation, okay? So range of motion plus strength is going to equal function. So let's say that the most range of motion that we can get is a 5 out of 5, and the most amount of strength we can get is 5 out of 5. So if I do that math problem, 5 plus 5 is going to equal 10. So with this formula, the most function we can get, perfect optimal function, is a 10. Now, if we reduce range of motion but keep strength the same, we're going to see a change in function. So let's say we keep strength the same at 5, but now we have a reduction in our range of motion. Let's say it's now a 3 in terms of quality. If we add that out as an equation, you can now see that we've had a 20% reduction in our function. What that reduction in function is going to translate to in terms of health is going to be an increased risk of injury, an increased risk of things getting overloaded, and joints and other tissues potentially wearing out faster than they should be. So where does adhesion factor into all of this? Well, we know that adhesion is the most common and underdiagnosed cause of limited range of motion. When this stuff builds up in and amongst your tissues and acts like glue, it's going to limit how well those tissues move, which is going to impact your range of motion, leading to that potential for increased chance of injury, increased wearing down of joints, and overloading of those same tissues. So as you guys can see, function is super important. But equally as important is knowing why something is not functioning properly, knowing what your range of motion is, knowing if some tissues are as strong as they need to be is super, super important. And it's why we take the time to break function down into those components here at Barefoot. So if you feel like you've not been functioning as well as you possibly can and you've been in pain for a long time, why don't you give us a call or send us a DM, because there's a good chance that we can help you out.